Are we good to go? Are we live? Maybe. Maybe we are. Who knows? I don't. Oh, hang on. If I make that small. I am live. Good, good, good. So I'm on time. I'm a minute or two late. That's okay. Here we are. Now we'll put that live. Okay. I think we have Dr. Theo in the chat. Sup, Dr. Theo? How you doing? Hopefully you're well. Hopefully you're good. Sup Shredders! My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Livestreams where today... Hi Fantasy, happy holidays to you too. Where today we're going to be reviewing Christmas songs. Or any songs, really. It's just a Christmas live stream. It's just a nice old 3-hour live stream reviewing people's music before I go off for the holidays. And hopefully you all do too. Is the audio coming through okay on you guys' side? Hopefully the audio is coming along okay. I did remember to put the filters on today. Oh good. Awesome. Fantastic. If we switch over to here, oh okay. There we are. We got chat on the screen, I think. If I make that big. We do, yay. I go up here, go whoop. Got to put that OBS big up on the screen just so I kind of get everything organized. Here we go. We'll get rid of intro time. We're not in intro time. Sup, Jaywalking? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. So yeah, if there's a song you would like us to check out today, we can do that. If not, I've got a backup plan, which is reviewing Christmas music, because I mean, if you want YouTube specifically, you can probably put YouTube in there, you know. Spotify is convenient because it avoids copyright strikes. But if you want to have one from YouTube, maybe just put it in the request and we'll get that in there. Yeah, because the channel's a bit quieter than it has been in the past, so I just came backed up with the Christmas hits. We got Holly Jolly Christmas by Michael Bublé. Usually, sub Blue Dinner Box. Happy holidays to you too. Getting right into it immediately. Usual dealio. Probably won't be going through these too quickly. I can never remember how I used to do these. Yeah. No, I'd go up to the top. Yeah, I get it. So we'd kind of get through the list. Okay, we've got Atari Teenage Riot from Fantasy as well. Here we are. Boom. Thank you. So that's 2. Should we just get into Christmas Magic by Leifei? Let's just do that, eh? So we'll get in the Blue Dinner Boxes. If you guys have any questions about the music or anything as well, feel free to sort of ask. But it's just a chill day today, eh? There we go. Just before I go into it, because this is, again, Blue Dinner Box's request for Leifei's Christmas Magic off of the very Leifei holiday album, I'm going to be going back to doing song reviews next year. So, like, complete song analysis. I tried doing reactions and talking about a few things I liked, but I feel like anyone can do that. And the feedback that I got from people when I was doing reviews back in the day was that people kind of preferred the big ones, the talky ones, not the ones that weren't succinct, but they did like the ones where we kind of where I like went through the individual components of a track as opposed to different individual bits. I just feel like that's something I used to have with a lot of clients I used to work with as well, like music review ones. Hi Weber 1128, welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well. There we go. There we are. Awesome. That's cool. But we'll continue, just so letting you know, I'll be talking briefly about each of the individual components here without getting too down in the weeds, just so that we keep good time. But yeah. Awesome.
Let me tell you about
Lyrics.
Christmas magic. It's a wondrous thing to behold. When the snow starts falling and mother's calling for you to
Happy holidays, Weather.
put on your coat. Let me show you Christmas magic. It's the best kind of sorcery I know. With the angels singing and sleigh bells ringing, grandma's underneath the mistletoe. Reindeer flying past the moon, old Saint Nick will be here soon. But don't be alarmed, it's all a part of Christmas charm. Now you know all about Christmas magic. You can tell this tale on your own. When it turns December, you must remember Christmas magic. Christmas magic is here at home.
I love the brass and the strings. There's a magic to it, alongside the swing groove. It's just nice to have an instrumental section here as well, a bit of a break.
Reindeer flying past the moon, old Saint Nick will be here soon. But don't be alarmed, it's all a part of Christmas charm. Now you know all about Christmas magic. You can tell this tale on your own. When it turns December, you must remember this magic. Christmas magic. Magic, magic. Christmas magic. Christmas magic is here at home.
Absolutely, for sure, 100%. Wonderful jazz vibe Christmas. What I especially adore about this is just how Leifei just sounds like they're enjoying themselves. You don't always get that with Christmas songs, which is a shame. Sometimes they're very kind of sincere and somber. Here, it's got a kind of weird sense of hope to it. So what do you think this track is about? I think it's about Leifei talking about Christmas and why it's magical to them. And it's just kind of selling you on it, I suppose, to a certain extent. I like the line, it's the best kind of sorcery I know, with the angels sing and sleigh bells ring. It's not a literal thing, it's metaphorical, but I just appreciate that Leifei is just trying to sort of like romanticize it a little bit. And I think it's her take, if it's her own kind of Christmas track, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's just an interesting sort of tack on it. What else? What else do we like about this? So I think the vocals, I'm going to go through individual components. So I thought the vocals were just done really well. Leifei has exceptional vocal technique, very comfortable in hidden chest voice. There's no moment where they aren't in their element here. This kind of jazzy aesthetic to it. It's got a great sort of body to it, very comfortable in a hidden chest voice. Nice use of vibrato occasionally. And as a lead element, they're incredibly compelling. The track, they sell their own, again, the fantasy of Christmas really well. It's done the sort of like a lounge jazz or big band kind of way, which is really sort of like fantastic to listen to. I think the combination of the various kind of like double bass, drum, and sort of brass and string elements are really sort of pleasant as well, because what they're basically selling is like an excitement of Christmas, you know?
And sleigh
I like the swing groove on the drums. I think that, especially with the brushes, it's kind of compelling and makes you sort of want to dance along to it.
Christmas magic.
And I think like the peppiness of the brass, both in the mid to low range, as well like some trombones or something like that, just kind of makes you it adds a bit of kind of like the hustle and bustle of the nightlife kind of feel to it, like people rushing around getting ready for it. It does sound like the soundtrack of a Christmas film. I'd agree with that, Weber. It's got a very sort of vintage cinematic feel to it. That's a lot of Leifei's music, though, to be fair. I think that when you do have the kind of instrumental break in the middle there, it was just nice to appreciate the other musicians of the band who are incredibly capable on their respective instruments, and to kind of, again, give you a moment just to appreciate the aesthetic that's been created after the storytelling from Leifei.
When it turned, Christmas magic is here.
And just like the buzz of the bass in the low end is just fantastic. I like the tone of it. It's commercially produced. I think that the recording of the individual instruments is fantastic. There's a nice glow to things in terms of EQing, positioning from the frequency spectrum. It sounds like a live event, but it's done to a studio grade. Leifei didn't need any help with post. They're just fantastic on the mic. And ultimately, just, yeah, fairly fantastic start to proceedings. Not overproduced or still sounding sort of clinically clean. So thank you to Blue Dinner Box 1370 for the request of Christmas Magic by Leifei. Had a great time with it. Really, really good song. Just going to add this song from Iron Tusk mastered in from Unknown Racer 3. And then we have Fantasy with Atari Teenage Riot, which is the next track for today. So just a friendly reminder that this doesn't need to be Christmas songs. It's just that I'm doing an extended I'm just doing an extended kind of version of this just to kind of end the year out. So what do we have? Delete Yourself. Oh, the album. There we are. I found it. When was the last fan request live? I'm not sure. I mean, like, we've been doing them for the last few weeks. I think we just took a really long time off of it because I was struggling to find a system that I was happy with. I think back when I was doing them, it was a lot busier. So you'd have a lot more people putting their tracks in at the same time. And what would happen is then people would wait like 2 to 3 hours in order to get their tracks done, which, is a contrast to now. It's a bit quieter, which is totally fine. It's just an interesting sort of situation to be in because with the way I see it, I kind of like when it's manageable because then I can talk to people. But I also, it's nice to, I don't know. I kind of liked it at 170 actually. Yeah, does that look okay? I don't know if you guys can see that though. I have no idea of I think 200's easier on the screen. Yeah, we'll go with that. We did. And that was like crazy. It was crazy. I just haven't done as much with the channel as I want to. And I also think I haven't really been that interacting with people that much. There's things I could do to improve things on the channel for people, and people want requests and stuff like that, and I don't always do them. Like I've done the weekly ones for the last term, but I've really been kind of absent, and I think a New Year's resolution for me is just trying to find a new now that I've got a house. Now that I've got a house, because I'm going to be moving. I'm not doing another live stream for a few weeks probably. Because I have to move to a new place. But yeah. I don't know. I'll make it 170. It was fun. Yeah. Honestly, there's some good times. I just don't think there'd be enough requests now for a 6-hour live stream. And I take that with the understanding of why that is. And it's cool, man. In the meantime, I think the most important thing, and this is a lesson that I learned too late, is that it's really important to appreciate the people who do want to hang out and not take them for granted. That's why I'm thankful to people who come along today to hang out, just listen to some music. It's good times. We're going to listen to, from Fantasy, their request for Atari Teenage Riot. Riot. Let's do it. What is this? Delete Yourself. It's too small now, though. It's alright.
successful than all those that went before me because the time is right, the season is right, you are right, the conditions are right. We must go free now. Now is the time.
I like the depth of the synths. When was this released? 1994. This is a very kind of niche thing, right? Is there some specific context that I'm moving here? Is it a story they're creating? Is it like a message they're trying to spread? Because I was like 3 years old when this came out. I'm trying to figure out how it ties together to, oh, okay. I was going to add your request, jaywalking, but that's okay. I'm trying to figure out how it ties into the subject matter. You've got the Atari game music, and I was almost kind of feeling a bit naive for saying that it was about the video games. I don't want to talk to you right now. Go away. I'm trying to sort of organize some stuff for tomorrow, and they're calling me now. They've not done well at organizing themselves. With this though, yeah. Are you ready? So is this about the fall of the Berlin Wall and people finding new freedoms afterwards and just kind of taking control and the sex for those who buy it and powers for those who can fuck it? It's about like newfound opportunity and kind of enjoying the new future, and maybe the video game music is like the teenagers who grew up with video games trying to sort of like destroy and sort of control and sort of go further with things. Is it about sort of generational improvements and hope for the future, optimism? Is that what this is effectively about? I don't want to punish people. I want to punish myself as much as well with the reason. I think it's part of the reason. Oh, I get it. So it's very kind of punk as well. They're saying, it's not like, people are going to try and screw with us if we try and take back the power, with these newfound freedoms. Or maybe are they making fun of the fact that there's a false sense of freedom and that things maybe haven't necessarily changed? I'm going to think about this one a little bit. I'm going to think about this one for a while. So I kind of like the conversational tone of this one. I like the use of the sample at the start. They're kind of like hyping things up for the generational shift. I think that just the spoken style of it is very kind of chic and very kind of cool. They're not trying to sort of overextend themselves. There's a bit of oomph occasionally sometimes. You get like vocal fry, and I think they're using different vocalists sort of like strengths there to kind of sell things. I feel like it's more of kind of like an art project song than anything else. You get the impression it's more they're trying to be sort of experimental with the synth textures and stuff like that. As a standalone self-titled, it's very intriguing. And at 3 minutes 36, I feel like there's a lot going on within it, but there's also a lot to absorb on the first listen basis. There's like a lot of sort of synth layers that provide an interesting sort of like kind of sort of like electronic. It sounds like you should be dancing along to it. It kind of reminds me of video game music of the 90s on like the PlayStation, even the PlayStation 2 in the 2000s and stuff like that, which maybe suggests that it was ahead of its time a little bit. And I think that general, like the beat machine, the production on the kits as well is really cool. I like the use of different patterns across the quarters, eighths, and sixteenths. And I like that the vocals are occasional because it allows you to sort of pay more attention to what the instruments are saying rather than the people themselves. Although it's equally compelling. Yeah, so I think each of the three people involved kind of talks or speaks at some point or another to give different angles or perspectives. The distorted guitar adds a sense of angst and kind of like punk and alt rock that I think works well alongside the synthetic sort of elements there, like the basses and the rises and portamento elements. And again, the use of like the kind of the beat machines or the drum machines and stuff like that kind of makes it a bit more sort of like dancey, and it gives it sort of like almost an industrial feel, which I just think is like it's a reasonably unique combination there. I haven't really heard a lot of music like this. I'm not sure if this is what Atari Teenage Riot does a lot of the time. But like the occasional sort of crowd chants and stuff like that kind of like are just a nice sort of palate cleanser, again, after the consistent kind of drone or heaviness of some of the other elements. I think the wordplay for power, for those who can fuck it, and like it's clever stuff. Again, they're very sort of sure and sort of self-aware, and it makes for an interesting listen. I'm not sure what I get from them as musicians. I feel like you'd probably want to have a little bit of these guys at a time. It seems like it's deliberately with the production kind of a little bit kind of abrasive, but on purpose they're trying to maybe just sort of issue a sense of dissonance there texturally to kind of make you feel a little bit uncertain about things. But I also think it's trying to sort of establish its own footing within the niche it was going for in the mid-90s. So it was quite a cool song though. And I think again that the use of the samples of the video games near the end was just a nice sort of touch, kind of tying back the Atari element into it, like the new generation trying to find their own sort of style of music to roll with Delete Yourself. It's very much a kind of like a part of its time, I think, as a closing comment there. I wonder how their song would have sounded if they had made it now, 30 years later. I feel like this is probably, when they were doing it was probably the most modern they could think of, so it was very kind of different for them. I wonder how their more recent music is, but thank you to Fantasy for sharing this track from Atari Teenage Riot, the self-titled one. I think it's a really interesting song, and I haven't heard them before, but I might check out some more in my own time, depending on my kind of appetite for it over the Christmas period. We have Jaywalking next. No, we don't have Jaywalking, sorry. Who do we have after Fantasy? We have Weber1128 with Michael Kiwanuka, Cold Little Heart. I Want to Punish Myself, very teenage. Yeah, I don't know. It also kind of reminds me of the kind of emo stuff in the 2000s, but it's just a bit early, I suppose, for that. With the emo stuff being the 2000s. There was emo stuff in the 90s, but it wasn't quite as pronounced. It was almost sort of like goth at that point. Yeah. We got Michael Kiwanuka from Weber1128. The song titled Cold Little Heart. So let's do it. What have we got? Oh, right. So this one's like 9:57. So it has a shorter version. That's good. Oh, thank you. Because I was thinking that might be a little bit long. That is 3 minutes 30, and I don't mind that.
Did you ever want it? Did you want it back? Oh my, tears me apart. Did you ever fight it? All of the pain, so much pride.
Can I be honest with you guys? Something I'm kind of upset about is this thing that Spotify have done recently with their most recent update. You used to be able to get rid of this thing. You used to be able to get rid of this screen here. And you can't anymore. Oh, hang on. I mean, that's better, I suppose. Yeah. I like that a bit better. But just you used to be able to get rid of that part completely. And I just, it's a shame that they don't allow you to do it anymore. Because I don't really need to have all these, they're really trying to sell you on all these music videos and everything like that. But Spotify are in a kind of a weird place.
Running through my veins, bleeding, I'm bleeding.
Yeah, because I feel you, because there's like a thing down here, right, where it says connect to a device, mute. I just don't have that. And if I make it full screen, I can't see it. Maybe it's in settings. I could probably go into settings and look into it. But thank you. I appreciate the letting me know, Fantasy. Because I used to hide it. It just doesn't have it down the bottom anymore. But maybe if it's in the settings, I'll figure it out later on.
My cold little heart, oh, I can't stand myself, and I know in my
Thank you. I didn't realize that they put it there. That's crazy. I'm not gonna pause anymore because I know that I know, and it has this little cheeky arrow here pointing out, say, "Are you sure you don't want it back?" I won't pause it anymore. I won't pause it anymore because I want to be respectful. In fact, we're just gonna go from the start. Just because I paused it a few times, it's not fair to Weber. But thank you, Fantasy. I appreciate it.
Did you ever want it? Did you want it back? Oh my, tears me apart. Did you ever fight it? All of the pain, so much pride, running through my veins, bleeding, I'm bleeding, my cold little heart, oh, I can't stand myself, and I know in my heart, in this cold heart, I can live or I can die.
Interesting fizzy tone to those guitars.
If I just try to believe in you and I.
Really fizzy guitar.
Did you ever notice I've been time. Bleeding, I'm bleeding. My cold little heart. Oh, I can't stand myself. And I know in my heart, in this cold heart, I can live or I can die. I believe if I just try. You believe in you and I. In my heart, in this cold heart, I can live or I can die. I believe if I just try. You believe in you and I. In you and I.
It's a really beautiful song. I think because that was Weber 1128's pick, Cold Little Heart, the radio edit. It makes me wonder what would be happening within the 10-minute one. Like how much that extended. It would have been a difficult conversation to have to figure out exactly how to make that choice. Because context can be really important, you know. I assume there would have been like additional chapters or different like riffs or different ideas that were explored. And that was the kind of crux of it, like the main point of it that they were discussing there. But yeah, that was Michael Kiwanuka with Cold Little Heart. What do we think this track is about? I think it's about someone going through some trials and tribulations and kind of wondering whether they want to take the risk with someone else. Their cold little heart, it's kind of fragile, and they're with someone else and they're just not sure whether they can fully commit to it. There's a bit of danger involved. I think that it's a conversation that is kind of matched really neatly with that sort of like really fizzy, spicy lead guitar.
I believe if I just try. You believe in you and I.
Exactly. So like there is like this kind of like contrast because they want to believe in themselves, but they also know that it can be difficult to take that risk. And I suppose, yeah, it is a sharp guitar. But if I go through it kind of methodically, just so that I kind of give each track equal meter, I thought that Michael's vocals are very sort of sincere and authentic in the sense that not only they're not overproduced and sort of fixed in post, but it's kind of almost conversational the way that he discusses things. There's also the lady vocals that do a call and response, which I think is really important to kind of have the literal kind of tonal perspective of like maybe a woman in that situation, the person that he's trying to partner up with. It's really cool to hear that because I feel like if it had just been him by himself discussing it, it might have seemed a bit kind of weird. Like, why is he talking about this when no one else is there? And I just think that he sounds like he's calling out occasionally. Some parts are a bit more sort of like upbeat and intense, I think, because there's like a more sort of further emphasis on the kind of him crying out. But other parts are a bit less kind of intense, which sort of insinuates to me that he's aware that he needs to adjust his kind of like the way he speaks to you in order to sort of make some parts effective. I think like it's one of those tracks where like the structure like 3 minutes 30, it seems like that's a long time, but it really doesn't. It flows by really quickly. I'm not sure what that effect is. It's like strings or like a guitar tone or something like that, or maybe vocals there. And you've got the steel string as well that's kind of accompanying it. And it kind of gives it an earnest approach there. When you get the drums come in, they're far more sort of like low key and supportive, and they've got like a dusty kind of grainy tone. And that's also something that is represented by the vocals, which have a kind of a little bit of a shimmer and sheen to them.
Did you ever fight it?
But there's also like a nice upper range resonance to some of those guitar parts there where the chords, they kind of like sing on the sides of the stereo field there and are in a nice sort of like cozy blanket for the vocals. I like how the the bass is so active, but it also knows when to sort of step back and take a gap, because it lets me know as a listener, hey, there could be more to come, and we're not just relying on the quarter or eighth note accent here. There are some syncopated parts.
I'm bleeding.
I thought at the end, having like the strings and the piano as well, it sort of insinuates that there is more to come, even though it doesn't get you there. I think in a way it kind of like lets you know, hey, you should do more of this. And I adore that we're kind of leaving things a bit of gas in the tank there, not giving the listener everything at once. I think for people who are a bit unsure about listening to the full version, they'll hear those additional elements again, like the beauty of the keys on the right hand and how kind of delicate they are, and want to hear more. It's kind of a masterstroke, I suppose.
In this cold heart.
And there's like a sense of hope to the way the strings flutters, almost like their heart is fluttering, you know, at the thought of being able to form this connection with someone. And you hear, oh, thank you, Weber, I appreciate that. Thank you for the donation. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's very kind. You're welcome. I wasn't expecting that, but thank you very much. What else want to say about it? Yeah, I think the strings have a nice sort of flutter to them, which I like because, again, it's sort of the heart fluttering part. And I just think as you go through the piece,
Sing. I've been losing.
like from a production perspective, like thematically, it's very it kind of glows. It's got a major kind of tone. There's some minor chords occasionally, but it's not too dark or too intense, too sort of like full of dread there. I'd say the way the music sounds is as if there's like a cautious optimism to it. I think that's the best way to describe it. I think that kind of really kind of rigid guitar tone is the sound of their guitar being cold, almost like their guitar is out of tune with reality. And it's kind of frenetic and a bit kind of tense, I think, because it's like, hey, no, you don't know if you want to go and take this risk again. So just really clever stuff. Like the symbolism of the guitars is really sort of thoughtful. And it's a way of kind of adding sort of like a variety to a composition whilst also adding to the story. The studio production, yeah, I think the vocals in general, both male and female, as well as the guitar takes with this coil on them and a slight bit of kind of dustiness, the bass line nice and compressed and sort of walking through the root notes, the drums having a kind of interesting sort of like low-key resonance to them, kind of working with like a kind of a boxy kind of like, it's got a bit of a rustle to the snares there. Got a chord note sort of thump to it, where the bass kind of either sticks with it or kind of contrasts with the, again, syncopated parts. The strings, again, they are fantastic in the upper range there. And it just sounds commercial grade in terms of the studio production. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there was a journey and adventure as well with, again, the way the guitars came in and the strings entered later on. I just feel like it was a fantastic evolution. That was represented there in audio format. And I completely understand why people like Michael's work. I think it's great music. And again, it was a masterstroke to have it as a shorter track. I feel like, again, people hear this, they want to go for the bigger one. So ultimately, thank you to Weber112A for suggesting this track from Michael Kiwanuka, titled Cold Little Heart. The radio edited it. I had a great time with it. Cheers. And just in case you're watching this and I don't get the chance to say it to you before you go, hopefully you're all having a great holiday period so far. I usually do the final Christmas wishes, but I suppose I'll say it now. No, it feels a bit awkward, doesn't it? To be fair, yeah, I'll say my Christmas wishes at the end, because I might forget, and I have like mild sort of OCD tendencies, so then I'll be like, oh, I didn't say happy holidays to that person, you know. But we've got track number 4 now from Unknown Racer. Here we go. What does Unknown Racer have for us today? Oh, I don't need to do the @ because I've already copied that. There we are. What does they have? They have Iron Tusk from Mastodon. Thank you. Best wishes to you. Best wishes to everyone watching this. Hopefully you're all having a fantastic holiday season so far. We've got this new request from Unknown Racer 03. Oh, hang on. And we've got Dr. Theo. And just while I remember, Dr. Theo, thank you for that, as well as Paul, RX6PR. I'm glad that I caught that. Wouldn't want to forget. I remember here, Iron Tusk. Yeah, then it was that. Good. And good. Awesome. We're up to date. I find myself pressing buttons and then I get confused. I built the computer that I'm doing these on. You know, it's not a flex. It's just I do know how technology works, but sometimes I feel deficient. So, Iron Tusk from Masterden. Let's go. What do we got? Man, that's a hell of a guitar tone. The mixing of the vocals is interesting. I used to pinch harmonics there. Grayson's a danger with those guitar riffs as well. I mean, their vocal fry is visceral, dude. So that was a fantastic song. I'm gonna go back a little bit to Iron Tusk. There we go. There's a few obvious sort of comments I want to make, such as just the phenomenal percussion. Like the work on the drum kit is amazing. But we'll do it in order. So what do I think this track is about? Iron Tusk from Unknown Racer 03. Straight line, feel it, burst liver and lung. Long and strong till she spills her black blood. I do think they're talking about the whale that's here, and almost like the process of hunting the whales and then killing them. And then they talk about the elephant graveyard culture vulture, and it could be metaphorical or figurative for something else. I'm not quite sure. Engage monster, wreaking vengeance, assault with all martial rage. So maybe it's about killing something that is trying to destroy things, and then you're just moving on to the next target as if it wasn't even a thing. Or maybe we are the ones who are encompassing the vengeance. I'm not sure. I feel like a lot of context would come from the entire album as a whole. which I mean, I do like my mastered in. The vocals were interesting. They sounded kind of quiet in the mix to me. And not that I'm like well, to be fair, I have been working on some music recently. I'm starting to become more kind of aware of how people place things in the mix. And it's kind of one of those situations where I think the vocals needed to be done that way because of how visceral they were. If they'd been too prominent in the mix, it would have seemed like they were kind of like trying to dominate everything. Sup, Jacob? Happy holidays. How you doing, bud? Hopefully you're well. But it's also a situation where I hear this and I go, I'm just being transparent about it. I feel like the actual vocals tonight at the fry was fantastic. And like the shouts and kind of like shouted parts there, and it being an occasional thing allows for a lot of the other elements to kind of go by. So I think the vocals are more sort of providing a bit of context more than anything else, as well as a bit of a kind of extra oomph and emphasizing some of the heaviness of some of the guitar and bass drum parts. I think a lot of the magic though with an Iron Tusk is the actual instrumental parts themselves. I think that if we look at it structurally, going from the beginning, you have that like incredible drum fill there with such tightness in terms of the 16th or like the 30 seconds that are going on. That'd be 16th triplets, I think. And it's actually not particularly easy to get them sound that tight, especially on an acoustic kit. They just can play really well. And I think it's not just that part where there's a tom fill. There are so many different fills, including like the high, low, and floor tones. And there's always kind of frenetic, kind of finicky, like these little extra hits that are almost sort of ghost notish, that are just wonderful because they're so energetic and exciting and chaotic that it kind of infers more than if you'd simply just had a normal kind of like 8th or even 16th note groove there. Those little bits, those little intricacies there provide a lot of spice and character to the song. And just again, the way the guitars, I wasn't initially sort of like convinced with the guitar tone either, because I like a bit more kind of body to my guitar tones. But then the more you listen to the track, you kind of understand that the guitar itself, with a mixture of different kind of dissonance, sort of power chord elements, maybe some bar chords, etc., they were trying to do a lot of things harmonically with the guitars. And I think that when you get everything in context and get used to it, it starts to kind of mesh together, and it again, the violence. It illustrates the violence of what they're trying to discuss. And you can hear the bass down the bottom, and the bass goes wonderful. And I say wonderful low end a lot because it's very obvious when that is not the case. And who doesn't like a wonderful low end? Am I right? But just the way it's got such a kind of pulse, it's got a nice pulse to it without being overburdened. And like the bass is typically kind of like bottoming out the root notes for the guitar chord. So even if the distorted guitars aren't too kind of bottom heavy, the bass kind of fills in and provides that foundation, that function, and it niches things within individual parts of the frequency spectrum. I love the kind of caustic, kind of discordant nature of those parts because it illustrates some of the violence or like the fighting or the death or the massacring that's going on. The music is very direct about that. And there's such a danger with the use of minors as well as the kind of Phrygians that we have occasionally. The way certain notes sort of like last and other notes kind of like are a little bit extra. Like we have changes of rhythm and very things for emphasis. And then we have like different twists and turns, I think, structurally as well, which kind of makes it more like a tale. And again, it says more than just what the vocals do. It's like we don't need to rely on the storyteller to handhold the listener because the listener can listen through this and understand that we're going in different directions. And I enjoy that. But yeah, just the way the drums are played is phenomenal. Honestly, some of the best drumming I've heard in a wee bit. Like I'm really happy with what I've heard there. And I do like my minimalist drumming as well, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I suppose as a final note before we talk about the production, I don't think you can get away with complicating things too much with the vocals when you've got those kind of tones on the guitarist, those kind of chords, they're kind of the diminished sort of seventh, flat 5/7, because it really just does get too busy if you try to do too much melody with that. You start fighting the other elements within the mix, so the accompaniment. So I'm thankful that we're not trying to do that. Yeah, the Yellow Sleep version was fun. See, there were good times, man. There were good times. I would like to do more of these in the new year. I mean, we didn't do one last week because I was finishing my album. So I've got an album that's coming out next week called I Am Done Volume 2, which correctly infers that there are now going to be 2 albums. So I've completed 2 albums. They're both on Spotify under Spiderhands Records. And last weekend just was exhausting for me for various reasons. And I want to do these live streams when I'm in a good mood, because I know you guys have got stuff going on in your own lives. You don't need someone you're watching being depressed. So like, I don't know. I want to be on here talking about music when I'm in good spirits, which is why I committed to doing a longer one today as well. There's also a Christmas video for Jingle Bell Rock on the 22nd. And there'll be a few videos, the general update videos before the new year. But yeah, I would like to do more of these in the new year. It's just nice to listen to new music, and especially because I'm going to be doing more production next year. Me listening to different musicians actually helps to write new music, you know, because I do enjoy writing music. Yeah. So it's good times. This would definitely be a Yell version. Production wise, I think it's pretty tight. Again, it's kind of an alternative kind of like way of producing things. I'm not always very sort of like sure how to approach when I have like an unconventional guitar tone, or when the vocals are a little bit too quiet. But that's not me saying it was produced badly. It's just these things initially were like, oh, there's less of a resonance here. Oh, and then you go into it and you suddenly get behind it and you can appreciate the musicality of it, and this sort of aesthetic builds itself. And I think more than anything, Mr. are basically about the lore that they build for themselves and the storytelling as well as everything else. It's very cool music. I'm glad I got the chance to listen to it, and thank you to Unknown Racer 03 for recommending this track from Master entitled Iron Tusk. It's good times. I think we have Jaywalking 1237 next. What does Jaywalking 1237 have for us? Mariah Carey, Bone Thugs and Harmony Breakdown. I can't remember which one you wanted. Did you want YouTube? Please let me know if people... Okay, cheers. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks for that. Bone Thugs and Harmony. Hey, let's do it. Thank you.
Don't break down yet, it's over. Don't break down yet, it's over.
Very different vibe.
Break down yet, it's over.
Thank you to Jaywalking 1237 for their request.
Steady breaking me down. Steady breaking me down. Steady breaking me down.
You called yesterday to basically say that you care for me, but you're just not in love.
So I've just clicked after literally saying Mariah Carey that this is Mariah Carey. Is this before or after All I Want for Christmas?
Immediately, I pretended to be feeling similarly, and led you to believe I was okay to just walk away from now. One thing that's unyielding and secret to me. And I guess I'm trying to be nonchalant about it. I'm going to the streets to prove I'm fine without you. But in reality, I'm slowly losing my mind. And I get the kinds of smiles that really help guide you decide how I feel.
think I'm gonna lie. Tell me if we lived a lie, would I sold you not?
Every new day is a test for me, so I just pray the Lord for him to bless me. Please, that struggle I'm going through lately breaks me down, set me free. Let me be who else do I have to rely on? Who's sure to get a dug go viral? Can I get my vibe on? When you look into my eyes, won't underestimate this whole story. I'ma tell you right now, I'm fed up. Wrong if I let my lead bust. Park to keep your head up. Don't let this world get the best of you. It'll stress you through if it's over. Don't break down, yeah, it's over.
When I guess I'm trying to be nonchalant about it, but I'm going to extremes to prove I'm fine without you. But in reality, I'm slowly losing my mind. Underneath the guise of smile, gradually I'm dying inside. You ask me how I feel, and I like convincingly, 'cause I don't want to be feared. The fact that I'm suffering, so I'm gonna disguise till I go home at night and turn all the lights and then I break down and cry. Yes, I'm trying to be nonchalant about it, I'm moving to the streets to prove I'm fine without you. But in reality, I'm slowly losing my mind. Underneath the guise of smile, gradually I'm dying inside. You ask me how I feel, and I like convincingly, 'cause I don't want to be feared. The fact that I'm suffering, so I'm gonna disguise till I go home at night and turn all the lights and then I break down and cry.
Is that like a triangle? It's kind of weird. I'm not always a massive fan of like the use of extended choruses, like double outro choruses and stuff like that. But I feel like the additional vocal layers on top kind of sold it. You just kind of get lost in the music by that point. And I just feel like it's a great use of just under 5 minutes. But that was Breakdown with Mariah Carey featuring Bone Thugs and Harmony from Jaywalking, as I understand it, 1237. What do we think this track is about? I'm actually gonna like add these two tracks now so that I keep track of it. Pun. Yeah, looks like we're gonna be going for a bit longer. I wasn't sure how today was gonna go. I didn't know if it was gonna be quiet or not. Mariah Carey, Bone Thugs and Harmony, awesome. So I think this track is about Mariah Carey in a parallel universe struggling with the fact that she's not coping without this person. I say that because I can't imagine anyone wanting to break up with Mariah Carey. But like just that kind of tender love song where someone's just trying to sort of be strong during the day and in person, just trying to sort of like put their kind of mask on and get through it. And then at the end of the day, they break down. So it's effectively a breakup song. And I think that one thing that's done really well here, I suppose, with the vocal performance is that Mariah Carey, having her perspective is fantastic, especially because it is her song with the feature from Bone Thugs and Harmony. And she's very, very sort of like competent with the hidden chest voice vocal with unique vibratos and sort of hidden chest voice there. And there's a lot of overdubs and additional layers and call responses and very comfortable harmonizing with the backing elements as well. But I feel like Bone Thugs and Harmony were fantastic here as well. They're a nice sort of like foil and a different part of the frequency spectrum. They each have their sort of like moment in their part of the track. And it's just cool to have that kind of contrast and adjustment, because you do have Bone Thugs and Harmony doing sort of like overdubs in some of Mariah Carey's parts. And, if we go through it, and like just, yeah, I feel like it's a full flesh out. I think that this track needed to have different vocalists in order to sort of put their perspective forward. And then their like perspective is, whose shoulder can a thug go cry on? Came to see get my vibe on while you look into my eyes. Won't underestimate the soldier story. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna stand up. Wrong if I let my lead bust. Pack City, keep your head up. Don't let this world get the best of you. So from their perspective, it was cool as well, because they were discussing different things. It was less maybe about relationships and more about like the kind of struggles they have with just kind of needing to be strong, when in reality the world is kind of like, yeah, absolutely. I was thinking it might be Tupac Shakur. I've been watching the Diddy documentary on Netflix. That's been interesting. learning a lot about that. I don't know if you guys have watched the P Diddy the documentary on Netflix. That's fascinating, eh? Just learning about Tupac and everything like that through that, as well as other things. But so yeah, I think that the vocal styles from Bone Thugs and Harmony, they played a great sort of foil and support for what Mariah Carey is doing. It was great to have their perspectives on different subject matter. The song itself at 4 minutes 56, it's a long one, but I feel like it's well fleshed out again with their different vocal segments. And the vocals are like the focal point for the vast majority of this. And you get like the vocals at the start, and you get the kind of like the drum machine coming in with the kick snares and kind of claps. And there's sort of like the resynths as well, the boom. And you have the keys coming a bit later on as well. And like the bass and the low end being nice and sort of like full sounding. I don't know if it's an 808. I think it might be like a really subtle bass or 808, although at the same time, you do have the keys kind of in the lower range as well. And I think what's really cool is that even though you have so much going on with the vocals, they offer these little additional, like between the verses and choruses, you offer these little additional kind of hi-hat pads, like the kind of like 16 to 30 seconds there, and the doo-doo, and little kind of like bits of ear candy with the synths in the upper layers, because you've got extensions on those keys. But they're subtle as well, like they offer a little bit of emotional complexity there without kind of like taking away from Mariah Carey in front. Rises, and there's also space there. There are moments where there is so much stuff going on there without it being overwhelming, but there's also moments of peace there where you have like a rise or like you have like a glimmer or something, like there's like bird sounds or something like that at another point. And the bell trees as well for transitional devices as well. You kind of need multiple listens to go through the song and really get a feel for everything. I think it's testament to the quality of the production in general, as well as the composition, that they could have whoever they wanted to on the microphone on that point, and it was kind of neutral enough to be able to allow for all their textures and timbres to put forward, and in a way that would just made sense. Like there were effortless transitions between parts. And there's like a nice kind of pulse as well to the kick in some parts, which is kind of heavy, and a thump in a stereo system or like a car stereo system, but it's also not too aggressive, you know. They wanted to sort of add a sense of groove and pace. I think a lot of the kind of rhythmic kind of like essence comes from what people are doing with again the vocals, like the rapping and everything that's going on, because it wasn't just singing, it was also rapping. And just a lot of that kind of like, that's the chord note accents on the drums are the old reliable, and you've got that variety with the vocalists as a kind of like an additional icing on the cake. And I think as well at the end, to kind of let the bass kind of come out a little bit and allow things to kind of float with Mariah Carey's vocal layers over top, and as well as Bone Thugs and Harmony coming in on the lower end, you kind of establish that that's all you really need in terms of the composition. But then it's just everything that's happened before that's gotten you to that point where you feel like you're getting off the roller coaster ride at that stage. And it's, I suppose, thematically, it's a track where you listen to it and you understand there's like a heaviness with the extensions of the harmonies as well as the bass and the drums. But there's also a lot of brightness and freshness to it. So I think they were trying to sort of meter it from an instrumental perspective to not allow people to get too weighed down by it. I think that if you'd gone thematically with like minor chords and made it kind of very sort of like sad or depressing sounding, it just would have been too dark. It just would have been too sort of like sad. And I think they were trying to still make a kind of a catchy single that people could listen to actively or passively. So I think it was a smart idea to sort of meter things with the tone of the chords, or the quality of the chords, whilst having Mariah Carey and Bone Thugs and Harmony tell things in a relatively mature, sophisticated way on front. Awesome track. The studio production is commercial grade. There's a lot going on here with the drum machines and keys and samples and vocals and the reverb tails and the delays and stuff like that. But it would take, it's actually a really, it's a difficult song to really kind of pick apart and kind of like, you'd need more time. And I don't want to spend, I want to make sure I give everyone kind of a reasonable chance with their tracks. But just, and I also tend to go on ramble. The leveling position of things in the stereo field was fantastic. No weird resonant frequencies. It's got dynamic range from a compositional and a production perspective. And nice line with that pumping to the bus compression limit handled. Great use of the 5 minutes. Thank you to Jaywalking1237 for this wonderful request of Mariah Carey, but featuring Bone Thugs and Harmony Total Breakdown. I'm looking forward to hearing John Cena sing, by the way. Sup, Rumshaker96. Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well. Bone Thugs and Harmony, probably only group to ever work with some big names during its time. Tupac, Biggie Smalls, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, I've just, I suppose, committed heresy there. Mariah, as well as Easy and more. I really need to become more familiar with my 90s hip-hop and 90s and 2000s hip-hop. I feel like I missed a whole bunch of it. I feel ignorant. I might do that over the holidays. Just kind of like get some more vinyls. Get some vinyls and listen through it, eh? What do we have next, though? Dr. Theo. This Christmas by Majestica. Let's do it. My favorite middle Christmas song. Thank you, Dr. Theo. I still can't get over the fact that Jackie Chan had an album. I remember we reviewed Jackie Chan at one point. He has multiple albums, doesn't he? So that's the album. That's done. Did I get that in? I did. Yeah, I did. I'm just making sure I haven't missed anything. Having a moment, guys. So that would have been Peanut Butter, Blueburn. Yeah, Blueburn. Here we are. Awesome. It does sound very refined and polished. I'd say there's a definite kind of like vintage kind of feel to some of the 90s stuff. And I feel like it's a very kind of generic response, but there was some magic that was taken away by some of the sort of the early sort of late digital recordings. I just like how they had a bit of kind of grit to them, some of those stuff up until the 2000s. To be fair, though, there was a lot of pop that was also kind of a bit too kind of like polished, I suppose. I don't know. It's very subjective. Dr. Theo. There we go. Is it Majestica? Is it Majestica? It is Majestica. There we go. We found it, guys. Very different immediately. Great vibrato, man. Oh? Key change? I like that phrasing. Fresh staccato. I'm sorry to pause because I try not to pause too much. I love that key change there. It's very clever. It's very clever, and I think that should be studied. Like, just the way that they managed to lift up like that. It's something I haven't heard before, and I feel like I'm going to steal it. Because it doesn't sound abrasive. Or did that go down again? It sounds magical with the sleigh bells. His pipes are phenomenal, dude. I can understand why this is your favorite Christmas song, Dr. Theo. Favorite middle Christmas song, should I say. Dude, that was stunning, man. The highs that the guy managed to hit on the mic are just phenomenal. Like, it's just such great vocal control, and the fact that he's able to hit clean vibrato off of that is sensational. That was This Christmas from Majestica. I still do, my favorite kind of metalish kind of Christmas song is the Carol of the Bells or something like that. It was the Metallica, one Metallica did with Siberian Orchestra. That's still my favorite Christmas song. But I think this is probably a close second or third, for sure. It's really sick, man. 2 or 3 have come my way. The last one with delay, but none of this is real today. It's maybe a dream, a lucid dream. So is this about the Bah Humbug? The guy, the guy, what was the guy? The guy, who was the guy that had the 3 ghosts visit him? I think it was about that, right? Scrooge, thank you. Yeah, it's about Scrooge. And I think that it's discussing the misdeeds, and there's like voices like the choir around him, and it's him kind of figuring it out. I think it is very kind of like operatic, for sure. Face your demons, forthcoming chains or your neck. I see and I try to understand it all now. How I've gone from kind to cruel. Clock's running out now. There's one more trial, but why spirit lead me down this aisle? Yeah, definitely about the 3 trials there. It's about him kind of learning how he's gotten to that way. I want to go and actually watch a film about this as well, because I'm not as familiar about how the whole kind of Scrooge and Christmas story works. I never actually seen it. I don't know if it's good, but I feel like it'd be useful context for this. So I think that's what it's about. It's about Scrooge and the ghosts that visit him, the spirits, and about him kind of figuring out that his kind of time is coming to an end, and he really needs to figure out what to do this Christmas because his time is running out for him. The vocals are phenomenal. It's not just the key change that I kept talking about. It's the very how comfortable he is in every part of his vocal range, the power behind the change in expression, the vulnerability to display sometimes, whilst also in other points knowing to really kind of belt and go up and just be really exuberant and charismatic. It's exactly an exuberant Santa for sure. It's just very, very, very fun to listen to, and you feel like you're being taken care of as a single, as a listener, should I say. You think that, or feel like the people really care about telling you the story because of the effort they're putting in, as well as the the polish of it. I think the choir that they have in the background, the backing vocals, add a nice sense of, again, it's like the spirits around him sort of telling the story, sort of warning of what's to come. But also it kind of makes it seem more epic, like it is an opera, like a bigger kind of like song than it maybe would be otherwise. It would just be a little bit kind of naked sounding, I think, otherwise. It's nice, it's like a ground bed for the main vocalist to come off of. I think what we have going on with the guitar parts, like structurally, it's fantastic. I was just making sure I understood whether or not there was like a guitar solo, because I was pretty sure there is a guitar solo. There's just so much to absorb. Lots of interesting guitar, bass, and drum parts, various verses and sort of bridges and choruses. The key change into that chorus is just phenomenal there. But we actually do a lot of different key changes through this piece. I think there's like interlude sections and other twists and turns, and it's fun because you don't know what you're going to have next. And I think it kind of matches what the story is trying to dictate, which is that Scrooge doesn't know what he's got next. Nobody knows, you know, all he knows is that he's in danger. So going between like major notes and then kind of faltering down a little bit, but without having too much in the mid-range to kind of hint too much at where you're headed, it's just very clever kind of misdirection, I suppose, from a compositional perspective. And it kind of gives you, I think the use of the sleigh bells or like the kind of ching ching kind of like that, that's just a great sort of like texture that elicits a feeling of Christmas. But the danger of the guitars, the kind of alternate string kind of skipped power chord elements and melodies there, as well as the absolute banging sort of solo section that we have. I think that we do have like a double tracked kind of guitar solo for a bit of extra oomph or space there, which if that is like, if he's done that guitar 2 times to give it extra space, he's just done so well on the strings, dude. I do think he's maybe done some production on it to just give it a bit of extra kind of size there. But it's just got a massive kind of body to it that like it does provide a nice alternate to what's going on with the main and sort of like backing vocals. So it's just also good from a structural perspective to have a kind of an adjustment of the kind of lead layers there to make a song more interesting, even though there's a lot to appreciate within this 4 minutes. But I think, again, there's a catchiness to the vocals have more sort of range or differentiation rhythmically than the main vocal, and the kind of, how do I say this? The main vocals have more variation than those chants, and the chants are catchy because they're repeated, and you can kind of roll along with those, even if you're not necessarily sure what the main ones are going to do. And I like the fact that we've also got a minor leaning to it, which elicits a sense of like kind of danger that we've discussed with the vocal parts as well. So the minor leaning thematically is good. There's a lot of color, especially with the keys as well that we have there. The kind of almost sort of harpsichordish kind of, that kind of makes it sound very spooky, like we are having sort of a nightmare or something like that. I think that the reinforcement of that to mid to upper ranges niches nicely on top of the side guitars, and the bass underneath providing cover for the bass notes of them, and the drums as well, with a wide variety of different rhythms there. You know, very comfortable with the double kicks, but also exploring the various tom, snares, kicks, and crashes and everything like that. The whole drum kit is explored, and it's a really sort of tight performance overall without a note out of place. The studio production's fantastic. Again, we don't overcomplicate the vocal tracks or anything like that. The guitar, bass, drums, keys, and the bells and everything else, you can hear them clearly within the mix. It's nice to know what that pumping to the bus compression limiting is handled. And it's this kind of fantasy element, which with the production, with the reverb tails, certain elements, with an operatic sort of like way of producing it, which makes it seem like a live performance, like you're in a movie whilst you're listening to it. And that style of production works really well for like power metal and stuff like that. I do agree it does sound a bit Finnish for sure, like power metal clone parts. But yeah, great angle for this, really cool. Thanks to Dr. Theo for their request of this track from Majestica, titled This Christmas. It makes me want to listen to more of this stuff. So that's as big a compliment as anything else. I feel like the 90s stuff had great music all around, felt really like every genre was trying something new and gave light to music. And I would agree with that. I think that a lot of the music in the 80s was very kind of like synth-based or reverb-based, or you had like the power and hair metal. And I think a lot of the 90s was kind of like a kind of a they were sick of that maybe like over polish or overproduction to certain parts, not across all sort of genres, like the thrash was a thing that was coming up, and ironically there were certain elements of thrash that became a lot more produced in the 90s. But I think that every generation just tries to find their sound and tries to continue to evolve things. What's Paul got for us today? Now I'm not sure what that means. I'm just going to go to DeepL to sort of translate that. What do we have here? Ah, Joe Hisaishi, Lang Lang with Spring. Thank you to Paul for this request here. Let's put this in. I think with Sup Chrono, by the way, hopefully you're well. I think with modern production, or with the internet in general, there are just so many micro niches now. There's so many sort of micro genres now that we just didn't have before because everyone's putting music up a lot more quickly. So it makes me kind of wonder where we're going to go in future with music. But I'm excited for it, With Joe Hisaishi, Lang Lang Spring, thank you to Paul for this request. Let's do it. This is a gorgeous song. And Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you, hi P2Q. Forgot to say that before. Phenomenal playing on the right hand. Phenomenal control over the dynamics there, eh? So, that was Paul, RX6PR's pick from Zero Hisaishi and Lang Lang, the song titled Spring. So, we're going to presume that this one safely is about spring because it is an instrumental. There is one instrument in it, and it is piano. Off of the Piano Book 2 album, and I've just adjusted this because even with this stuff, I'm just trying to get the actual art in there, so you guys can see it. Although I feel like the title is definitely big enough, definitely big enough now. So, given that this is about spring, the next point we need to sort of discuss is whether or not it sounds like it's. hang on. Hang on. Is Joe Hisaishi the person who wrote the music for the Hayao Miyazaki movies? Is he the person who wrote that music? Because if that's the case, that's awesome. I just wasn't aware of it, eh? Because I think he did like other... Yeah. So I think, is this... Yeah. Yeah, I mean, either way, I think it does kind of sound like it, doesn't it? It kind of sounds like it could be music from it. But I feel like the joy, the major tonality of this track insinuates a feeling of string. Like if you go from the start. I mean, like when you look at that part there, it makes you think, hey, this is clearly a positive song. We're clearly optimistic for spring. There's a nice kind of to and fro between the left and right hands, which is really pretty. And it resolves really neatly. And there's some kind of classical phrasing there. And I like the fact that we have some slightly uncomfortable chords, but there's nothing so far that's kind of seeming a bit off. It's kind of almost kind of developing what we had initially, offering a different perspective of it, which does contrast with some of the minor leanings we have occasionally later on. We return to the main motif, which is just fantastic. That's just the way we extend a piece like this on a solo instrumental perspective. You know, you have an idea that you're kind of fleshing out, and maybe you'll return and add more on the right hand. And I like the free-flowing like nature of the right hand as well. We're not just stuck to a mechanical tempo. It's very free-flowing. It seems very natural. It's like that is a way you can tell they kind of played it live. I think that kind of minor, either modulation or that minor turn there, maybe insinuates a feeling of kind of like uncertainty about spring. Maybe we're concerned about spring ending at some point soon. And you can tell it's a lot quieter because it's not something we're really aware of at that point, but it's like a thing in the back of our mind kind of wondering when things were going to sort of like become sunny again. I think most people can sort of relate to the initial feeling of getting into spring and then maybe just getting used to it and maybe kind of taking it for granted. And maybe it's like in relation to like the flowers that initially bloom really brightly and then maybe they kind of get a bit more kind of like reserved as they go along. You know, they're getting ready for summer. And it resolves on a major, although it's very kind of like low key. It's I think I take the way this is played with the note choices in the various sections as like kind of a conversation about our feelings about spring. It's fantastic to have that kind of clarity and technical proficiency on the right hand there, and for the bass notes to support in a way which doesn't offer any sort of discomfort. It's reinforcing either the octaves or the fifths there. And we have occasional unison between the two hands for between transitions there to kind of shake things up with the counterpoint part. But ultimately, yeah, the reverb tails from like a production perspective are fantastic. The keys just sound really well produced there. It just sounds like they captured a live performance. And the EQing and the studio side of things is very clean. It's just exactly what you need from a track like this. It's very sort of like and it's great to listen to. And I think again the allowance for the incredible amount of difference between the quiet and louder parts, especially those lower kind of minor parts, that bit of intimacy there and uncertainty, it tells a story through not squeezing it too much with compression. So thank you to Paul for putting through this track from an act named Joe Hisaishi and Lang Lang titled Spring. Beautiful song, dude. Beautiful song. I love piano instrumentals. I think that piano is a beautiful instrument, and someday, if I can afford one, I can, if I can fit, because I got a house, and the house has enough room for like a wall piano, and where I live, there are lots of pianos that people just give away. So I'm thinking of adopting a piano. You need a massive room for a grand piano. I don't know how to get into the house anyways. You literally have to smack a wall down. to get a grand piano into a house. And you need a room that's like the size of a ballroom, basically. It is. Thank you for the clarification, by the way, on that, Weber. I appreciate that. And Blue in a Box is rare to see pure piano piece here. It is. But I'm more than happy to review whatever you guys send through. Always happy to listen to new music. I mean that sincerely. If I'm here, we're good to go. We've got Jacob, though. Thank you again to Paul for the last one. Jacob Wrestled God, which is a cool username, eh? I don't think I've commented on that, but it's a cool username. Cena was 1 month before his contract ends until he practices rap on a plane ride, and the boss daughter heard and asked if he can do a rap segment on TV. Rest is history. Oh, so he was rapping. Is that it? Is this a rap song? Is this 23 years ago? I mean, you gotta show some love, I think, for the fact that he is a showman, right? He is definitively a showman. He's a very talented man, John Cena. You know, whether you love or hate him personally. It is! I've never listened to this isolated though, eh? So by the way, this is exactly why I use Spotify, because I've had the WWE like ban audio before. So this may get banned because of that. If it does, I'll put it on the Patreon as a public upload.
Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now. It's the franchise where I'm shining now. You can't see me, my time is now. In case you forgot or fell off, I'm still hot, knock your shell off. My money stacked fat, plus I can't turn the swell off. The franchise doing big.
It's all good, man. Don't worry about it.
I win it, so you hear those horns, you finish. A soldier, and I stay under you fighting. Plus I'm storming on you chumps like I'm thunder and lightning. Ain't no way you breaking me, kid. I'm harder than nails. Plus I keep it on lock like I'm part of the jail. I'm slaughtering stale competition. I got the whole block wishing they could run with my division, but they gone fishing with no bait. Kid, your boy, hold weight. I got my soul straight. I brush your mouth like Colgate. In any weather, I'm never better. Your boy's so hot, you never catch me in the next man's sweater. If they hate, let them hate. I drop your whole clan. Lay your ass down for the 3-second tan. Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now. It's the franchise where I'm shining now.
He has got flow, hasn't he?
Yeah. My time is now.
It's gonna be what it's gonna be. 5 pounds of courage, bloody base, 10 pants with a gold tee. It's a war dance, a victory step. A raw stance is a gift, and you insist it's my rep. John Cena trademark, y'all are so-so. And talk about the bread you make, but don't know the recipe for dough. Aiming guns in all your photos, that's a no-no. When this pop, your lip lock, your big talks are blatant no-so. See what happens when the ice age melt. You see, monetary status is not what matters, but it helps. I'm rocking timepiece by Benny, if any. The same reason y'all could love me is the same reason y'all condemn me. A man's measured by the way that he thinks, not clothing lines, ice links, leather and minks. I spent 20 plus years seeking knowledge of self. So for now, Mark Prentice living life for wealth.
Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now. It's the franchise where I'm shining now. You can't see me, my time is now. Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now. It's the franchise where I'm shining now. You can't see me, my time is now.
Fantastic track. I am sorry to hear about what happened to him. I don't know if you guys have seen the documentary about the dude who ran the WWE. I don't remember the guy's name. But yeah, no, the wrestling was crazy, dude. They had to do all sorts of crazy stuff back then, eh? Fantastic. Fantastic sort of like effort though. That was The Time Is Now with WWE, John Cena, and The Trademark. So what do we think this track is about? I think that it is about, it's about John Cena telling you how he's going to wipe the floor with you. You hear those horns, you're finished. I like how that's a very clear, understandable connection to what's going on within the song. A soldier and I stay under you fighting, plus I'm storming on you chumps like I'm thunder and lightning. Yeah, I mean, the wordplay is great. It's not super edgy. It's like kind of, I like the line, I keep it on lock like I'm part of the jail. It's got a great flow to it. He's very comfortable on the microphone. He doesn't sort of like overcompensate or sort of over-explain things. And anywhere I'm never bitter, your boy's so hot, you'll never catch me in the next man's sweater. If they hate, let them hate. I drop your whole clan, lay your ass down for a 3-second tan. Like the flow is fantastic, dude. But 5 pounds of courage, buddy. Base 10 pants with a gold tee. It's a war dance and victory step. So the words come through clearly, very comfortable on the mic, and I like the kind of repeaters or like the kind of effects that he has on the vocals at certain parts. Because he double tracks those vocals for a bit of extra oomph in those parts. You can't see me, my time is now. It's just, again, and the tone of the brass as well is just so kind of affronting. It's just, you hear that, the war cry is about to pull off, And you got like a nice kind of like sizzle and hum to the 808 on the low end there. That the drums have a kind of a chord note groove to them with occasion of syncopated 16ths or 8ths there, but they aren't overcomplicating things there. The focal point is the vocals for sure. And you've got like a kind of a funky kind of like bass line in the sort of like second section. So you have like a 808 plus a bass in the mid range there for a bit of funkiness and kind of extra bit of coloration in that lower mid. It sounds very kind of like 90s hip hop. And there's this kind of sizzle that's going on there, almost like an old school drum kit there. The sampling is authentic for the time. I wonder if it's kind of him going back to his roots in terms of what he likes about his hip hop, Bom, 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 bom. It's just a catchy, bouncy little line that is a contrast rhythmically to what's going on with the main drum kit. Bam, 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 bom, 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 bom. And it kind of goes between the highs and lows repeatedly, and you're just going back and forth in a way that's very satisfying. But that part of the end, though, it's just kind of interesting how it pans out to the left side with the brass. I'm not sure why they did that from a production perspective. Maybe this was a track that was designed specifically for his entrance on a side of the stage and they got the speaker system to play on that side. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, I think at 2 minutes 56 structurally, it's engaging. Several verse sections and the chorus starts at the beginning. The tone is set. The studio production is bombastic, nice and tight with the kicks and basses. The brass harmonizes really neatly. Very simple melody that is reinforced. And it's just, it doesn't overplay, even though it repeats a lot. It's just it's a cool sound, so you don't mind it too much. I think, again, if it was 4 minutes, it might be too much. But 3 minutes is just the right sweet spot. A bit of extra kind of fry on certain parts vocally as well with the repeats, and it fills up the stereo field really neatly. Nice and loud without pumping. Bus compression limiting is handled. I think I can imagine that if they put this much effort into this, there are some other themes that you guys were talking about. I think Randy's theme song also good. The Edge. Be good to check out maybe more themes at some point. But for now, that was WWE John Cena with the trademark with the trademark is that I think they might have mentioned a trademark at some point lyrically. So that was a nice sort of producer tag if that was the case. Thank you to Jacob Wrestled God for that. It was awesome. Awesome stuff. What have we got next, though? Ah, we've got high PTR Mister. Thank you. Yeah, no, the Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon was an interesting man. He you know, I feel like it's difficult to get to his level of success unless there's just something a bit off, you know. I feel like most hyper successful people, there's just something which drives them beyond the humanity involved with it. I don't envy them for their success because I feel like they lost something along the way. Yeah, I've watched a few of those. I don't know about you guys, but I watched a whole lot of documentaries on YouTube, on not Netflix, but also on YouTube. To be fair, I'm kind of thinking of taking a sabbatical from that because I feel like I've watched one too many documentaries. You know what I mean? You get kind of burnt out on it. But we've got the song from High P2QMR with Peanut Butter titled Blueburn. Let's do it. What have we got?
Oh, Mr. Peanut Butter， 他在朋友开的餐饮里求婚，这不是第一次了。
Very different.
现在这个对象的年纪比他小了不止一轮。
Someone may have to help me with what the lyrics are about. I'm not familiar with the language, but that's okay.
Oh, Mr. Peanut Butter， 有他在的地方都是开心的场合。他喜欢排队的跑车，喜欢把脖子伸出窗外，让太阳晒得身体发热。他陪着我去屋顶看星星。
Great use of rotary reverb on those guitars.
却猜不到我叹气的原因。It's okay not to know everything.
Oh, they're offered enough English to be able to get it if you don't.
But I can't be what you need me to be anymore. No. Oh, anymore. No. Oh, Mr. Peanut Butter， 在客厅坐了一整天，等我回家。他给我太多我不需要的，他会把交换的地点和日期告诉记者。他陪着我去屋顶看星星。
Fascinating guitar tone. It's very kind of
不到我叹气的原因。It's okay not to know everything. But I can't be what you need me to be anymore. I love your cute funny face. You are the best I've ever met. When it comes to an end, can't we still be friends? You're not going to change. I won't be staying the same. When it comes to an end, can we still be friends? Oh, Mr. Peanut Butter， 他在朋友开的餐厅里求婚，这不是第一次了。我还记得，我曾经是那一个戴上戒指的人。
charming. Fantastic track. Honestly, really pretty. I mean, I get the English parts about it. You know, I understand the words there. I think it's about a relationship coming to an end. Because they want to be friends and they still appreciate the person. But they still want to have a connection. They just can't commit to being exactly what they need. I'm not sure why they're called Mr. Peanut Butter. I assume that's like a nickname they might have had for someone else that they knew. But that was High P2QMR's request for today. Off of the Blueburn, off of the Talk the Way You Talk album. Yeah. So we discussed what we think it's about needing to sort of end things because you just can't be who the person needs to anymore, even though you want to sort of preserve the friendship. I think that it was kind of cool to have an amount of English in here for me to sort of, as if someone who's not familiar with Mandarin or Cantonese, because I can't understand it, but you get enough, but then you get like the additional context if you understand the language, which I feel was kind of like awesome because maybe that's like something that person would know. It's like a secret message or something like that. That's kind of more sort of like intimate to them. So that's kind of clever if that is the case. So I feel like vocally just very comfortable with their kind of like head and chest voice. They have a nice kind of like very pleasant demeanor to them. Very sort of floral and fragrant, and they harmonize neatly with the other parts of the instruments within the frequency spectrum and in the stereo field. We have occasional sort of like vocal harmonies, but mostly I think it's just of a singer on their own, simply because they're trying to have that conversation with that person. Having like harmonies to harmonies is just a nice way to add additional sort of variety, diversity into a mix. So I think that like there's a lot of magic outside of the vocal performance though, which is just really competently handled across the microphone. They express themselves very authentically. I think they sound like they're tired, not in a way which is uninteresting or like they're not putting effort in. But I mean, their point is like they sound like they've learned a lot through their journey, their experience, and they want to bring it to an end, but they don't want to lose the person. It's complicated, So they're kind of being sort of very tenderly asking that person if they can still kind of have something. I like the kind of like very kind of grounded tone of the acoustic drum kit. I just feel like if you'd ever produced or had electronic elements there, it might have seemed a little bit like we were trying to sort of take away from like the sincerity of the vocals, which I know sounds weird at first, but it just sounds like you can imagine them on stage sort of singing that to that person. The bass guitar alongside of it offers more of a low end resonance there that kind of makes it seem like you're kind of at the bottom looking up at them. The guitar is like a lot of the mid to upper range, though. You have various kind of lead and rhythmic passages there, with the bass and drums holding out that low end. And they offer different moods depending on how they want to sort of, work alongside the singer at that point in time. And there's like this kind of like rotary reverb as well that I mentioned, this kind of like dreamy sort of aesthetic there that makes it seem a bit kind of quirky or wacky, and maybe takes away or kind of lessens the severity of it. I think adding the rotary distortion to that rotary as well gives it a bit more kind of angst there. It's like a more intense sort of like outlaying of the feelings you have. And it's just further development to the piece there. Because the drums and bass are pretty reliable a lot of the time. We don't have massive changes in the way those are approached. Again, you have like the syncopated offbeat kind of 16th like snares and stuff like that, and some occasional fills. But the drums and bass are the old reliable. The vocals are usually pretty palatable and easy to follow along to. So again, the guitars are a lot of the flavor and personality within this piece. I just realized that there's those cellos in there as well, that kind of like buzz, that sizzle there, offering a bit of romanticism to the piece there, more of a classical feel. And adds a sense of drama to it. But like the way that it's played is no. It's like things are coming to an end, I suppose. Like the show is coming to an end. just kind of getting a general gauge, I think, in case I missed anything. There are some occasional synth layers in other parts I might have mentioned. I might have missed, should I say. But ultimately, the main components, they provide a sort of like indie kind of acoustic rock perspective that makes it seem sort of very low-key and understated. And I think that works well for what we're trying to do vocally here. You know, it's very, very cool. The theme overall, working with major or minors and occasional extended, tries not to overcomplicate the messaging of the actual progressions within the piece, but does elicit a sense of sadness, I suppose, in a weird way. I think that if you've been more exuberant or charismatic, Avril, yeah, I'd say Avril Lavigne vibe for sure. Yeah, I can kind of get that. I mean, I do agree with you there, Rump Shaker, that the song, it gets a double meaning with the different lyrics. Yeah, absolutely. If that's what we're referring to. Yeah, for sure. But I feel like it's done, like with Avril's stuff, it's difficult. It's just like comparing apple to oranges, I suppose, you know, especially with the different sort of like decades, you know. It's tasteful and mature, and it's just, you can imagine them playing this on stage. And I feel like if you'd added more sort of synthetic layers, it might have seemed a bit overproduced. But yeah, thematically, trying to be as sort of like easy to follow along to as possible for the listener, whilst offering some sort of like quirky elements there for people who need a bit of variety there. Studio production wise, really sort of like well covered in terms of the vocals, the guitars, the bass, the drums, everything. Just the simmer and kind of the way things rotate and kind of oscillate within the ether is very satisfying. No word resonant frequencies. Music surrounds you in headphones. There's occasional elements that are a bit louder than others and maybe in a way that I expected, but it's still nicely glued from a compression perspective. And the track overall is nice to know without public to the bus compression and limiting is handled. It's in terms of like a review perspective, you'll find that I don't always, if very rarely, have any sort of negative things to say about tracks that I listen to. And it's not because I'm trying to glaze things unconditionally. It's because most tracks that get to the point where they're successful enough to have like a bigger fan base, they're usually pretty decent. There is a very limited tolerance, I think, on a grander scale for people to like music where it's poorly produced. It's either produced well or it's produced differently on purpose. I think the production quality, people are so kind of like cognizant and aware of audio production, especially nowadays, that it's really important as a musician to really have your production sussed. And also, I think it's also a given to a certain extent that if there are mistakes in terms of performance or like the note choices, that they're deliberate. And it's this kind of weird duality, I think, with a lot of musicians where we'll be acceptable or be accepting of their certain charisma to them adds, it gives it charm. Exactly, yeah. I think that if you try to make the best produced track, it doesn't necessarily have soul. So I think that if you can create music that has a compelling story, that has a purpose, if you can play your instruments well, but not overproduce it and not try to make it perfect, you know, because perfection is either unattainable, or even if you get to a point where you're absolutely exquisitely perfect on beat with everything, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say you shouldn't put in effort, but like there can be things you can do while you get to that point. Maybe, you know, you want one song to be absolutely perfect and you might take you a month or two to get to the stage where it's there, but maybe you can write some other songs in the meantime to sort of boost your own sort of confidence with that front. I feel with these guys, they had a concept, they implemented it well, and all the things were ticked off. And thank you to Hi PTQ and Mr. for this song from Peanut Butter. Blueburn titled Peanut Butter. They have got some cool names. Weber. I like Spaghetti. I think Spaghetti's a cool name. There is a band and Supervillain. I think Spaghetti's pretty cool. I do like Spaghetti. I don't know if you guys have seen the video where the guy jumps out of the bushes and yells Spaghetti. I tried showing that to my partner and she didn't. She was not a fan of the humor, but just the absurdist kind of comedy of that, you know, of spaghetti. It's good times. Good old spaghetti. Makes me miss the early internet a little bit, eh? Okay, I think we've got one more track today though from Chromino KGR, the band Apart Through the Night. Which I think is good. Honestly, we've been going for 2 hours now. Again, I wasn't sure how busy it was going to be today, because I don't have a lot of confidence after I haven't done much of these for a year. But it's been great to chat to people. So just thank you to those of you who have been hanging around for the live stream. It's been good to talk about music. Definitely do more of these in 2026 at the new location. And it will just probably be the start of 2026 where I do videos and live streams, because I just don't want to I just want to take my time getting the audio set up. I have some issues with this microphone and the setup I have. I want to make the audio better, especially if I'm recording another album later this year in 2026. I want the audio to be good. Oh, you're welcome. Usually I start a bit later anyways. So usually I start about, I don't know, I would have started usually about an hour ago. But I'm glad that you've hung out. Thank you for coming along. I don't know why I'm going to Chromino K Jr. on that. But that it's just good to sort of talk about music, because you guys show me music I wouldn't come across otherwise, and I'm thankful for that. I think someone mentioned Jay before, like Jay Chow, and that was, I think we reviewed every single one of Jay Chow's albums. Thank you. I did. It's literally like the SP Reacts playlist we have on YouTube is just gonna turn into, ironically, not just a reaction thing, because those are my Fiverr videos, the SP Reacts ones. But on Fiverr, I'm gonna go back to giving full song reviews, because it's actually easier for me to do those as well. When you're trying to find 3 good things about songs, I end up over explaining them anyways, just because it's easier for me to just give context. So I think either I'm allergic to kind of providing just 3 things. I also feel guilty. You know, like if people are paying for a review via Fiverr, I feel guilty saying, oh, the guitars were cool because they were cool. You know, I feel like you got to just do it properly, you know. But yeah. Ah, Lollipop. I do remember Lollipop. It actually kind of makes me wonder how people find the channel, because we're actually at like 16,500 subscribers now, which is pretty crazy. It's been a quiet year. I think we're at about 10,000 at the start of last year. And I'm still kind of like figuring out what I want to do with the channel, but like I think these live streams are productive. It does make me wonder how you guys find the channel. I think a lot of people found it through Jay Chow, and as well as other ones. I think there was recently a video where like I wasn't aware of this at the time. I did reviews for like a meme. There's this meme channel, and they sent through an album, an EP for me to review, and it was like Instagram Fart Baby Feet Club or something like that. And I found the channel afterwards, and a lot of people came to check it out, and they weren't sure why I did the review. And if someone sends their music through via Fiverr, I'm keen to do it, you know. As long as it won't get me banned on YouTube, and if people want to come along to the live streams, thank you, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think we're just going to have to do reviews from now on. I think it's tricky as well, because on YouTube, like, you know, you want to do something that makes sense for people. And, you know, it's not because I want attention. Like, again, I've been releasing, like I released an album last year, and I released an album this year. Well, one's going out on the 24th, and I don't tell people about the music I make, because I feel very self-conscious about it. But I also want to talk about music. So it's like a mutually beneficial thing, talking to people about their music and sort of understanding it better. And it helps me to make better music as well. It's good exercise. And I'm not telling you, I don't want to tell you guys how to live your lives, but I feel like if you have a song you like, it can be really cool to just kind of figure out why you like it. I think that can be a really cool thing to do, if you guys don't already do that. It's not something I've thought of doing. I don't do that often enough. And yeah, Rump Shaker, it was an interesting experience, but I feel like that's with videos like that, if you give people a reaction that is inherently negative, you could potentially become like a lol cow or something like that. I feel like there are certain channels where they are looking for people who would react in a way to certain things, and you just got to be really careful on the internet, you know. Yeah, you just got to be really careful, because I was cognizant of that. Like, I was thankful when people started coming to check out the video and stuff like that. I was really thankful that I was objective about the review, because I didn't want to. I just, if you'd been a reaction, this is the irony of it. If you'd been a reaction channel and you hadn't wanted to like review it, you just reacted to it, you're just gonna be like, this is you know, this, you're just gonna say what you think of it, but without like potentially being able to sort of describe why that is. And that's not me saying that reaction channels can't do reviews. It's just more that if you just have a pure emotional reaction to it, like if someone is mentioning your home address or something like that, or like the doxing stuff, like there was a moment in one of those where they spoke about that, and you kind of like take the bait, then you can get yourself in trouble, you know. So you just got to just kind of like be measured about, I think, your approach to when you review stuff online. And it's just having a bit of kind of like awareness, I suppose, of the fact that there are some people that like literally they make entire careers on YouTube off of like looking for other people who do that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've watched enough videos on like lolcows on like YouTube and stuff like that to know better. And I also think that, you know, I think you just gotta get kind of like be more onto it. I'm not telling anyone else how to live their life, but for me personally, I just want to be more kind of aware of things. Yeah, we got Chromino's track. I think it's this one, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's this one. Feel free to let me know if I've got it wrong though, okay? Thank you, Chromino, for this track from the band, Apart Till Through the Night. Production is so tight, dude. Praise the bells on the ride. I love the staccato nature of some of those parts. and how the guitars go backwards and forwards. That was really cool. That was an interesting one. Very jazzy. I like the complexity, a lot of the chord progressions and like lead lines, and I like the asymmetrical guitar parts that we have within that piece. That was Chromono KGR's pick. The band apart, the title Through the Night. My Japanese is no longer good enough to be able to sort of discuss what I think the track is about. Sounds like they are talking about either Tokyo or a specific city that they are fantasized with. Yeah, maybe I think Through the Night is maybe they're going somewhere. They're going on a big adventure and they're kind of enjoying the nightlife there, or just it's kind of the sleepiness of like a lot of the major minor sevens there. Is just love classic jazz so much. It is, because it's got a swing groove on the rides as well. The bells are well used here with the offbeat kind of like accents and the kind of like din 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 din. But let's talk about this one. If we go with the idea of it, again, with our collective understanding of it being about Tokyo, a specific city, maybe just like a night out with the boys or friends vibes. Yeah, absolutely, I'd go with that. I think that if we're discussing it from that perspective, the perspective that the personality, should I say, that we roll with from the vocalist, very comfortable in their vocal range and effervescent in their approach with a quiet kind of charisma to it. It seems like they're kind of very kind of like happy with the situation, I suppose. It's got this kind of like indie rockish kind of feel to it that I think makes it seem more sort of youthful and vibrant. And we kind of like are not necessarily nonchalant, but like we're not trying to over express ourselves. We are allowing a lot of what's going on with the we're allowing a lot of what's going on with the instrumental layers to kind of take precedence there, where they're kind of we're the icing on the cake, so to speak. But I think a lot of the flavor and color of this comes from the guitar parts, with the drums providing a nice sort of rhythmic foil to it, and the bass line underneath getting to explore a bit as well. If we go back to the start, because there's like various choruses and verses there, I think with the modulation, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of like that initial sort of like theme there to kind of illustrate a sense of, oh, what we're going lifting up, no, what's this? A kind of like sort of plot twist at the end. And there's also, I think there's another guitar solo section as well. I suppose what's worth talking about is the guitars. The guitars are fantastic in part because of the asymmetry of the panning of them. There's one lead guitar part on the left side that's just really like, that's clearly the lead guitar and the other one is the rhythm, and you can kind of tell that they might have recorded this together because of that. Usually what you do in a lot of genres is that you would double track the rhythm guitars and then you have like the lead guitar in the center, but here it makes it seem a bit more sort of like real because of that decision to not overcomplicate the rhythm parts there. You can kind of imagine two people being involved and sort of be maybe more closer to what you'd hear in like a live situation. Outside of like the lead solo in there, which is again very comfortable in the scales and modes. And you kind of like here, there's like a strumming part there, and then there's like a like arpeggios or like modal passages there on the other side there. They perform different functions, and there's like this world that's created, I think, if we're discussing the nightlife, that it kind of mirrors that to a certain extent. Chromono says they're good at incorporating chords and rhythms from other genres like jazz, soul, and bossa based on rock. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of potential involved in something like that as well. I think that rock and roll, the rock is almost shapeless at this point. I'm not even sure what rock is. Rock is kind of close to pop to a certain extent just because of the range of all the different genres of rock nowadays, right? Amorphous is the word I was looking for. But a lot of the Japanese music I've heard, it's got this kind of jazzy influence there that is just really satisfying to listen to. And they've got this immense kind of like mastery over top of it. Because you've got a lot of guitar sort of focus specific stuff which does kind of make it more rocky, but you've got the single kind of coil like lead guitar tones that just are thin enough with a nice glow in the upper register to allow the bass to have a great amount of presence with the mix without it being overcomplicated or overwhelming. And like the bass isn't needing it doesn't need to have like held notes. It's more sort of staccato in certain parts alongside some of the guitar parts, but it highlights certain parts that the drums aren't there on. And so what's really cool about that is that the drums and the bass aren't feeling the need to be completely in sync rhythmically all the time. It makes for a more interesting sort of like song when you don't kind of take when you just don't have that monotonous, because some songs the bass and drums are like very very kind of well connected, and when you have a driving kind of singular kind of focus to a song, that works really well. But in a track like this where the guitars are kind of jumping all over the place, the bass being away from the kicks and other sort of chord note accents and kind of coming on off the offbeat or something like that, is just really sort of enthralling. But I love, again, like it's the use of the bells, right, like ride bell kind of idea going on in some parts of the chorus there. That's just very kind of chimey, shimmery, and it's just those little kind of little bits of pep and spice that can sort of like zazz up a piece. And like I'm listening to that part there, specifically the solos of the other sections there, like we can clearly shred and we're very comfortable across the fretboard, but we also know to allow the rhythm guitar to play some interesting sort of dominant or sort of major or minor seventh chords with the bars. We're kind of creating more of a sort of a mood or ambience rather than trying to show how well we can shred. I think especially because it's on the left side and not in the center, you haven't got an established ground bed for a guitar solo necessarily. So you've got to kind of create a painting with that. It does sound really clean. It really, really does, for sure. Like there's a kind of a similar 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and which is like slower than like a lot of the kind of 16th patterns on like the drum kit, even with the swing kind of bounce. To be fair, there's a bit of extra shred. This is exactly why you need multiple listens to listen to a track, and that's something I've learned through doing music reviews, is that you don't often get everything on the first take, which is why I've never assumed that you have. But I like that we have so much going on a lot of the time, and then other points we can kind of bring it down with those 16th note hi-hats and kind of just allow the vocals to sit. And it's like a reinvention or like a middle eights kind of thing, or an interlude of what we had before. It just switches up the focus of the piece, kind of makes it sound a bit fresher. And then again, if you have that modal kind of shift later on where things go up a step, it's like, oh, we're going that far. Oh, well, we're going. And then you're basically into the song by that point. And it just seems like we're absolutely spoiled for 4 minutes structurally, really full of life and intrigue. And I think especially if you understood language, it's just further kind of brownie points. I plan to dust off my old vinyls and enjoy listening to the later. I thoroughly recommend you do that, man. I actually, I have a vinyl player as well, and I'll be doing the same. I want to buy some more vinyls over Christmas. I feel like there is something to be said about having a glass of Coke and bourbon on the deck, listening to some vinyls, just having a good time. I feel like there's a weird nostalgia for that, because again, I'm like a 90s kid, but just there's something in my brain, either through marketing or through something else, which is like, that seems cozy. And so, I vibe with you on that, eh? What kind of, you mean your kind of jazzy stuff? Because you mentioned, we lost jazz vibe for a long time. Cello, trumps, guitar, saxophone. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, 100%. Oh, BB King. Dude, BB King is so cool. I love BB King. I'm not as familiar with their music as I want to be, so I will probably listen to more of BB King. But what I have heard was just phenomenal. Phenomenal musician, eh? So production side of things, very kind of stereotypically, kind of like from this part of the world, like Japanese music in general is so well produced, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Even when it's like deliberate, kind of dirty or a little bit kind of dissonant, you can tell they're doing it on purpose. It's very rare I've heard something come in from Japan, like Japanese musicians, that has just not sounded right. If there is, it's usually some anime intros where there's, I think the mixing for the actual show itself is kind of weird, but like they're very kind of like, they're precise about it. I think that's just a general sort of comment on production in general nowadays. In different parts of the world, they've gotten less of a kind of clean focus to make it seem more real, and other parts have just kind of tightened it up. Scotch sounds good. Sounds like a plan. But yeah, honestly, this track as well is nice and low with that pumping. No issues with the bus compression limiting. There's dynamic range to it from both a composition or production perspective. And again, there's just a great sort of sense of flavor and life to there's guitar, bass, drum, and vocal parts there. They're not squeezed. It's effortless with the way it transitions between elements. It's commercial grade in terms of its sort of studio approach. And I'm thankful for the chance to listen to it. So thank you to Chromino KGR for their request of the song from an ex named The Band Apart, titled Through the Night. Really good track, man. Really good track. Lots of really cool music today. Yeah. I do wonder, because we've had like country and hip hop and rock and jazz. And I just want to sort of say just something that's been on my mind is recently is that we've been trying to mix genres that at least like 10, 15 years ago, they didn't get along with each other. I mean, less so rock and jazz, but like, I suppose metal and jazz is more the focus for me. Because when I was a teenager, there was like a jazz school, and then there was like the metalheads, and they never got along, because metal was brutal and jazz was whatever. And I think a part of it was like the whole emo kind of metal kind of goth stuff in the mid 2000s, alongside the kind of preservation that a lot of people were trying to do of the kind of classical and jazz elements in the mid 2000s. But now you got like gent and progressive metal coming back, and you got a whole lot of fun stuff with like, hip hop included with Polyphia and stuff. But country and hip hop is something I'm still getting my head around, because they just seem so different. But I suppose now it's just what people vibe with. Chromino says, thank you for your reviews. I can't watch your live streams in real time, but I always enjoy your archives and videos. Thank you. I appreciate that too. Happy holidays to yourself and everyone else that's watching. I appreciate you guys coming along. Yeah. You guys are, yeah. It's been nice to do this today. Punks and metalheads. That's an interesting one. I kind of get it. There's like some metal nowadays, especially some of the more mainstream metal, which is kind of an interesting thing I'm also getting my head around. With the mainstream metal, where like a lot of it's kind of poppy. And so some of the punk is ironically heavier than the mainstream metal, even though a lot of the mainstream metal, the kind of poppy elements is like brutal. I can kind of imagine why they might argue, but I also, it's kind of sad because it's kind of sad that people are arguing about music. I feel like there's much better things to argue about. We've got one more track for today, I think, from gaming channel 111005. Music's awesome, man. But I feel like it's also because there's so much subgenre of metal and maybe even punk that's like hard to see what's going on with both. Yeah, exactly. I feel like something we learn as we get older. I don't mean in a patronizing way to people who are not 34, because it took me a long time to figure this out. Is that this is something my dad told me. It's like as you get older, you kind of horizons expand, and you learn to listen to new music, and you become a bit less kind of, this is my only style of music I listen to. I feel like a lot of people have that in their teenage years, because when you're a teenager, you're trying to find that identity. And I don't mean that in the patronizing way. No one knows who they are in their teenage years or their 20s. I find most people only really learn who they are when they're in their 30s. But yeah, I think that's part of it. That people kind of get sort of like, this is my area and I like this, and you're just forming an identity. So it makes sense that there's arguments, but it's also kind of sad because it's like, it would just be cool if you just knew that eventually you just like a whole lot more. But yeah, it's cool. As long as people can just like have a nice drink afterwards and kind of chill, It's not like, yeah. But people do argue about music, to be fair. Often it's what the music's about, but also, yeah. Sometimes musicians, but again, we've got On They Slay by Atheist. Let's do it. Off of Piece of Time. That's ferocious, dude. Great use of double tracking those kind of growly vocals. Oh, the panning there is kind of interesting. I just love the plethora of it's so frenetic. The vocals are so kind of manic in this, but I kind of think that works well with both the genre and the subject matter. On They Slay Through Clouds of Death, because this is the gaming channel 1005 with Atheist in their song On They Slay. On they slay through clouds of death, no mercy or no fear. The sound of twisting flesh is the last thing you will hear. Just the speed of that works well alongside the kind of manic nature of the guitar shred solos, and it just sells it. And the kind of growl and kind of visceral nature of the fry when it's double tracked, the kind of way it warps and spins around from like a studio panning perspective, it's just, the automation's awesome. And so what I especially like about it is, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the way that people recorded in the 90s. They wouldn't have had the software to automate the panning going left and right between the headphones. So they would have, I imagine they would have literally turned the panning knob and kind of hard programmed it to kind of go left, right like that. And if that is the case, that is so cool, man. That is so, so cool. I could be tripping and it could be completely silly, but I'm pretty sure that's how they did that. I also want to do some like production live streams next year, because again, if we have like a quiet day where there aren't a lot of light requests, it might be cool to sort of like make a track in the meantime, and that could even mean like a longer session, just kind of like either doing some sort of audio production or putting track requests through. But yeah, we got On They Slay, so we know what it's about. Exactly. I just imagine a guy with a knob being like, turn it now, turn it out. Yeah, because I don't know. I think they were still doing tape back then. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with the process of like working with tape with audio engineering. I did a little bit of it when I did my diploma in audio engineering, and you literally have the physical black tape and you cut it and you have to kind of program the panning into it. So you had one shot the person would do the take and you go wheel wheel wheel. And to be fair, you could probably do like an additional overdub and kind of get it to do it like that. Like he might have done that one by itself and added that into the mix. But I could be tripping. I don't know. I could be tripping. It could have been done to digital. I'm just not as familiar. Yeah, I'd be keen for that. Honestly, that is the reason I don't do more on YouTube is, well, because it's been a busy year, but also because I'm not sure of the interest in it. I want to be on here if it's beneficial to both yourself and I. So if you guys want to talk about music, we can do that. And I think honestly, like with these like sessions, these request ones, if they are going to be quieter for the foreseeable future, it gives us time just to talk. And I think it's good to talk about music. A band, album, or artist. I initially considered doing vinyl reviews. I did like the Zhang Yuxing like video, which was 7 hours long, which is a thing of its time there. But yeah, I think New Year is going to be really good, and I look forward to doing more stuff on YouTube. But when you make videos on YouTube, you don't know whether people like them or not unless you literally have people saying they do. And it's not that I'm saying you need to make me feel like I'm doing something. Like I like making videos and stuff like that. But it's more that I have no way of telling if people like them or not. Can talk about girlfriends too. I think that my one would kick my ass if I did. But you guys are welcome to talk about yours. Yeah. Yeah, the person I'm with is very private. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna respect that on their part. But I'm happy to talk about whatever. Mostly music stuff though, probably, because I kind of only know stuff about music. That'll be fun to get into video game design as well at some point. But in the meantime, On Slay is got a fantastic vocal style. It's very kind of thrashy, very reminiscent to the late 80s, early 90s. Stylistically appropriate for it. The expression is very sort of like authentic for the subject matter we're discussing. Yeah, I'd be keen for a favorites of the year or month for sure. Like, I think what I'm going to do is make a video and it'll just be like, what would you guys want to do in 2026 if we did like weekly live streams or something like that? And if you just leave a comment, then we can look into it. Again, supposedly there's like 16,500 people who have subscribed to this channel. So I'm hoping at least a percentage point of like a percentage leave a comment if you guys want something, because I assumed you guys subscribed for the sake of like wanting more stuff. So if you want more stuff, you can have it. You can have the more stuff, you know? That's all cool. I just need to know, because otherwise I don't. Yeah. So the communication's important, and I got to sort of open that up as well. Yeah. So the vocals are fantastic. I like the kind of phasing, or like kind of like the robotic kind of like kind of like sizzle to the vocals there that almost makes it seem sort of like kind of decrepit or demented. It's very sort of like unstable, but I think it works well considering the subject matter. Like, you know, your blood will spoil your ends tonight. Praising your religion isn't doing anything good. Playing to be saved now. Where's your God? Brutal, dude. But yeah, I think that Weber said great drummer, and I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Phenomenal percussion, dude. It's very much a journey from start to end, at like a million miles an hour with like 5 different guitar solos. And just the speed, the nature of those solos. It's like the guy went into the room and was just told, okay, shred time, and just And like that's, as someone who plays guitar, I can hear what they're doing. And it's wild. And it's kind of brutal because it's a different style of production to what we have nowadays, where there was like a mid resonance there that made it sound very much a solo of the times. But if it was like a less kind of mid heavy one, there'd just be a whole lot more kind of like notes and like it'd just be savage. It'd be very difficult to play. And it makes me wonder whether, given the amount of solos, whether they're like literally like planning that specific solo for it, or whether they're kind of improvising certain solos for certain parts. It'd be cool to hear whether they actually did that or not. Because I can imagine with some guitarists, like that's just a lot of stuff to remember, even in a 3-minute 37 track. Like the main solo is maybe the one that you absolutely memorize, or maybe like the other kind of shred ones you sort of improvise, I'm not sure. But there's like sort of tremolo tricks as well. Wow, wow, and they're kind of like wigglies and wobblies, and the rhythm guitars keep up with it. Yeah. Yeah, well, there was a reason that you know, back in the 80s, like guitarists had a good time, you know, with all that kind of shred that was going on there with the ladies. They had a good time with that kind of stuff. It was a different time, man. Although I think that you'd struggle to find a skilled guitarist who had issues with women. I think that would be the case. You'd struggle with that, I would imagine. Not to be crass about it. But yeah, no, the rhythm guitars are fantastically tight, nice use of alternate picking and stuff like that. Great sort of like tone to them. Very kind of like, again, thrashy for the tone, mid-range resonance, sizzle to the distortion. Great sort of like connection rhythmically to the double kicks. Nice just gallops. There are some blast beats occasionally as well. But yeah, like we have a wide variety of different 16-note grooves, like lots of like wonderful like drum fills as well. Some points of accent. There were also some like time signature bits, which were a bit sort of like, they're a bit kind of like they weren't 4/4, for example, and you have to kind of stop start, like maybe 4 beats and then dun 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 3, and then kind of going back into it. But like you just go to a different part of the song and it's just something really interesting to listen to. And I think that's probably the biggest compliment I can provide, is that even with how chaotic it was and how sort of aggressive it was still fun. You know, it's a wonderfully tight instrumental performance there, structurally sound. I think the guitar solos breaking it up was really a smart idea. And I think there were a change of tempos as well too in certain parts, which kind of just made it seem a little bit less kind of like straightforward than it already wasn't. And like those like kind of cymbal catches, bam, bam, bam as well, kind of adding for a bit of sort of suspense there and that faux staccato there. Yeah, I feel like I need multiple listens to really get a kind of a feel for this track in full, but on the first listen, I had a great time with it, and it was just a lot to absorb it on purpose. Thematically, I think that this was trying to sound like someone going through the field, slaughtering others, and they managed to do that in spades. The minor sort of Phrygian leaning with the themes there and the chord progressions and riffs was great. And I don't think you could have had anything major in here in a way which would have made sense. So like the main sort of ideas were cool. So yeah, I think that the kind of the changes in tempo, it made it more of an adventure. The studio production as well. It's interesting that you mentioned that's cool, because even for the time it could be argued that the quality still holds. So I think it does, because it's authentic for the time it was released and it was still produced well. Like the leveling in general is really good. It's like a tone thing. So like there's the actual technical elements of mixing and recording and mastering stuff, and then there's like the tone of the instruments, and some of the like rhythm parts might sound a bit sort of woolly, but it's because of the harshness of the distortion that they kind of needed to allow that kind of mid-range resonance. And also kind of sounded like real, if that makes sense. You can kind of imagine the sound of this in like a garage or like a band room or something like that. That's not like $1 million studio. I don't think it would have done any favors if you'd recorded this like a modern pop album or like even a modern rock album. I think it would have sounded just a little bit too clean. Yeah, it's just it wouldn't have been an easy thing to produce this because of some of the resonant frequencies within the guitar parts, but part of that body is what makes them more easier to listen to, but also more brutal at the same time. And you've still got that clarity there with the double kicks and everything like that. So it's nice and loud without pumping. Yeah, no weird resonant frequencies where it's not helpful. Ultimately, just a sensational track. Nice and short for what it was. Lots of stuff to appreciate within it. And yeah. And then the vocals were not overproduced. They had a harshness to them that made sense considering the subject matter from a recording perspective as well. Nice and tight without a note out of place. Just fantastic. Really good. So that was an awesome track. We did well. We got to two. We did well today. That was good. Just listening to this and watching Stovo. It sound because even the guitars don't sound over distorted to where it drowns out other instruments sound. Yeah, exactly. And that again, as I mentioned, that's a difficult thing to do. Mixing, both from personal experience and also from like listening to like music on a regular basis is incredibly difficult, and it's what sells a track. But I feel like if you can, if you're careful about how you approach your mixing decisions, you can kind of almost mix anything. I mean, it's just basically getting things level and then cutting a certain amount. And then just on your master bus, adding some sort of like a graphic EQ or like not a graphic EQ, but like a visual EQ, like InfEQ from Slate Digital, something like that, and just kind of cutting stuff and notching it. But yeah, thank you to the gaming channel 1005 for that. I appreciate it. Some cool album art there from Atheist. Not surprised about the "Where is your God" thing, considering the Atheist lyric, but that's okay. I think that's probably good for today. I feel like we're done well. So the queue is closed because we did all the reviews for today. Eh? Hang on. Have I just made that funny? I didn't need to do that. But yeah. Yeah. So we had requests from Blue Dinnerbox 1370, Fantasy, Weber1128, Unknown Racer, Tho3, Jaywalking 1237, Dr. Theo, Paul, RX6PR, Jacob Russell God, Hi PTQ Mister, Chromino KGR, as well as the gaming channel 1105 or 1005. Thank you to everyone for your requests today. It's been great to listen through your music. We also had a lot of good chats, which was nice. Glad to hear that you had a good time, Weber and Rumshaker96. Or Weber1128, should I say. I am probably going to head off because I feel like it's just good to close on a positive note. What I would like to say, though, with the conclusion button there, is I want to thank all of you, not just those who've sort of chatted, but all those who've put through music, and just generally all those who've sort of like been a part of the channel this year. I want to thank you for your support. I look forward to 2026 now that I have again a place to live that's a stable place over my head, and I don't have to worry about having to move the next year. Touch wood. Plans for the weekend are just sorting out how the new studio is going to be. Basically, just figuring out how to get that sorted out. Probably do some gardening. You get into your mid-30s and stuff gets a bit less exciting to a certain extent. But I also feel like that boring isn't necessarily a bad thing. I feel like you get older and you appreciate having that consistency. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy. Never thought I'd be the kind of guy who would get into planting. What about you guys? What are you guys up to the weekend? Have you got any exciting plans for the weekend? I mean, I know that I think Weber mentioned getting into some vinyls, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. You turn 30 next year. 30's good. 30's a good year. You know yourself when you turn 30, I reckon. And you're not 40 yet. 40 is when 40 is when family's coming over from Mexico. Nice. Well, I hope you have a fantastic time. I hope you have a fantastic time with that. That sounds awesome. Yeah, it's great to hang out with family, eh? Yeah. Get oneself drunk? Absolutely. Sounds like a good time, eh? I find, do you find that you wake up with hangovers? Because I find that if I drink too much now, if I get a hangover, that's like half the day done. When I was younger, I'd get hungover and then I'd be like bounce back within like an hour and go work at like the supermarket or something, something like that. But like I think when you get older, you start to become a bit more kind of like cautious of your limited capacity, I suppose. The game oneself drunk sounds like a good time, eh? Yeah. Again, video. You have magic pills. Nice. The whole day's gone for you. I don't blame you for that. I feel like it's just a good day to get some kind of like, I don't know, get some greasy food and just kind of get some cozy stuff and just chill, you know? Because, presumably if you get drunk when you go out, you're having a good time, eh? You had a good time, it was worth it. But yeah. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everyone watching this. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Yeah, Christmas video in a few days' time for Jingle Bell Rock. Oh, your kids go to grandma's. Nice. Awesome. That's good. So you just kind of get some time to yourself just to kind of chill. Sounds like good vibes, eh? Yeah. And there are going to be some other videos that come out like from like independent musicians. So I know that this kind of maybe seems a bit cringe, but maybe just go check out some of the other videos from people that come out on the channel. I know that sometimes when people do paid reviews, it seems like they're getting paid to say nice things. I have not always said nice things in the videos that I do for musicians that I review via the SP React stuff. Yeah, it is. It's a last stream for the year because I gotta pack up after this. I'm going to I gotta take a break because again, I don't want to over dramatize it, but the search for like a new place has been a bit, and I look forward just to take some downtime just to chill. Again, having that bourbon on the deck and just getting back into it in the new year. Because I also want to get the green screen set back up, eh? Absolutely. I think everyone deserves a vacation. I mean, I assume you guys are going to have some time off. I feel like vacations are important. You know, you got to take care of your body. Yeah. Much needed vacation. But it's good vibes. You know? It's ironic. Bar humbug, you know. Ironic. Yeah. Stay cool. Stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Have a fantastic holidays. Have much fun with your friends and family. Stay cool, Shredders. Spiderhands out. 3, 2, 1.